Who are the must-have QBs in Dynasty? Who do you not want to have? Find out where we have your favorite quarterbacks tiered. It's the Dynasty Pulse. Producer. Welcome once again to the Dynasty Pulse on FSAN and the Undroppables and on terrestrial radio 101.5, talking West Tennessee. This is the finest collection of knowers of ball in the industry. There's stiff competition out there, but we're stiffer. It's been a long week, but we're rejuvenized. So lock in. We're about to wild out and hammer down to get you bricked up. I'm bigz, with me in the Hall of Ball Knowledge. My clowns from a different circus. I got Schulte. I got Grindberg. I got Chev, the handless clapper, and Coach Retzlaff down on the bottom there. How we doing, folks?
Can't complain.
Yes, you can, but you're not gonna.
Just actively clapping with no hands. It's kind of my thing now.
All right. We are going to do a tier rating of quarterbacks. We're going to find out who are the elite guys, who are the traps that you don't want to have any part of. We're here to put that together for you, and it's going to be a fun show, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And well, it depends, right? I mean, there's going to be some controversy in this crossfire edition of the Pulse, where I think the quarterbacks are going to go under the knife, and only the sharpest will survive. Here we go, guys. So we're going to play a game here. So the objective of this game isn't just entertainment. It's to build a consensus mission for us to deliver a tiered breakdown of top 24 quarterbacks that our listeners can rely on and trusted tool for anything like a dynasty startup, trade valuation, rebuild versus contend decisions, and long-term roster construction. By the end, you'll walk away with a clear Dynasty Pulse tier board built through heated debates and strategic positioning. So we're going to claim a quarterback. Each host will take a turn nominating and defending a quarterback for a specific tier, but the nomination doesn't go unchallenged. Before the next pick is made, we will pause for the crossfire round. The next host in order will give a quick reaction or rebuttal to the previous nomination, agree, disagree, or drop a grenade or the flatline button. Anybody can do that at any time when they dispute a take here. So we got tier one. We're going to break it down as the franchise pulse tier, which is, your QB ones for the next 5 years. We're going to probably do about 1 to 3 in that tier. Tier 2 is steady rhythm, strong, secure starters for the next 3 to 6 year window. Tier 3 is our dynasty heartbeats, upside guys, but they have some risk due to their youth or inconsistency or their team context. They're probably picks between 8 and 12. And then the flatliners, declining, fragile, or easily replaced, useful now, but they're not long-term bets. Quarterbacks 13 through 18, and then the dead weight tier 5, the drop zone, the roster cloggers, the players with little to no dynasty future 18 through 24, and the snake order has been drafted up here. Coach will go first, followed by bigz, then myself, Chev, and then Schulte. But this is a snake draft, so Schulte will have 2 in a row. And let's get this party started, guys. Schulte, do you want to get the board up, and then we'll get going with tier 1 and our first nomination for tier 1? Who you want to see in that tier? So this tier here, guys, is just 3 players essentially here. So who are our top 3 guys that are going to fit in this tier? I'm pretty sure we're going to not have any flat lines in this one. I think this is a consensus at this stage, but who's number 1 on the draft pick here? We got Coach. Coach, who's your guy at number 1? Who do you need to see in tier 1?
Hey, and you'll see, tier 1 imports here. You'll have any kind of change in order up to 3. I won't give away the other 2. Most people will know. But the one that I'll speak to is somebody who I've been in on big time. And just about 6 months ago, we had talked about is it crazy? Is it sacrilege? The 101 in Superflex, Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, that it's not sacrilegious back then. Well, we've gotten to the point where people will at least mix and match Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, what Jaden Daniels has done his rookie season into his second year, where he should, granted, Terry McLaurin still has to get his deal done, which I have faith will get done, but things are building better for the Washington Commanders. It starts with Jaden Daniels, so it starts at the top. I love me some Jaden Daniels. He's a precision thrower. It's not all legs, but he does provide it with his legs, so you get the best of both worlds, and it's only going to get better for him as we continue. And he has the youth and age in his favor. You know, you need another 4 or 5 years where you get into that Josh Allen and the Lamar Jackson tier. That's just nitpicking, of course, but love what Jaden Daniels has done. The only thing Jaden Daniels has not done is proven it in back-to-back seasons, but to no fault of his own. Well, maybe it is his fault because he was a rookie, you know, could have been older and been in the league longer, but you get my drift. We have yet to see it repeated. This year, I have full confidence. CJ Stroud last year did not do it. I think that could be some of a background thought that people have towards Jaden Daniels, like, hey, the league is going to figure him out. I just don't see it, and the sword has only gotten sharper into year 2, so give me Jaden Daniels.
Well.
Anybody?
Who's
Anybody?
Who's next?
Anybody?
I
Well,
mean,
let's big.
listen. I mean, I can't. It's the perfect pick from a dynasty perspective. Yeah, I feel that way too. That's called taking a Jackson Dart. Did you? Oh, sorry. I don't even know why I said that. Anyway, I don't have anything against this pick. It's the perfect pick from a dynasty perspective.
Yeah, I think tier 1 for sure. I think he's the savvy pick at this stage. Biggs, you got anything to comment on that before you get into your player?
Love Jaden Daniels. Love it.
Yeah, love it. Me too. Need to be up there. So, who do you have to have up there, Biggs, as your tier 1 guy?
Sorry about my effusiveness. Well, you can't have a top 3. You can't have a top tier without Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen. Josh Allen is entering his 8th year in the league. He doesn't have a finish lower than 8th since his rookie season when he finished as QB 21, but he only played 12 games due to injury. Since that time, at 6'5", 237 pounds, he's shown nothing but durability and high production. He has finishes from 2020 to 2024 of QB 1, 1, 2, 1, and 2. That's as big a hit as you can get in a dynasty startup. You get him in the first 5 or 6 picks. You don't have to wait till the second round reach around to grab him because he's not going to be there. And he hasn't played less than a full slate of games in any season since 2018, his rookie year. So it's a safe floor. It's a high ceiling. Josh Allen has to be a runaway. And if there's any way to put Daniels and Allen on your team at the same time, I don't think there's much chance of that. But if you could, you're eating ice cream with the Penguins.
Yeah,
I thought penguins were lactose intolerant.
They are.
Well, yeah.
Non-dairy ice cream.
Non-dairy. Yeah, it's sherbet. We'll call it sherbet.
Oh.
Justin Herbert.
There you go.
Flatline. I thought you were nominating him for the top.
All right.
Well.
Okay, well, I guess it's my turn here, and
It does appear to be your turn, Mike.
Now, are we going to go to round off this tier 1? I think this is a layup here. I think everybody has this top 3 at this stage. I'm going to nominate to have in the top 3 Lamar Jackson as the QB3 in Dynasty. Depending on where you rank them, I think either one of these guys can be interchangeable at any stage. Lamar Jackson was the MVP of fantasy football last year, had some monster performances down the stretch in the playoffs. 2 years ago, again, MVP style quarterback. He's got the ups and downs. He has some down years. So, that's why maybe he may not, trickle into the top two like these two other guys, because, Jaden Daniels, based off of his youth, he's in there off of his rookie season, and Josh Allen is just, like bigz mentioned, year after year of just stability. And some people may think that, or maybe Jalen Hurts, deserves to be in here, but Lamar is a league-winning upside quarterback. He's got MVP upside, and just the rushing floor is second to none. So I got Lamar Jackson as my tier 1 quarterback to round off this tier, fellas. Anybody got any rebuttals to that?
Is this
No, this is
flatline?
Is it
Flatline. Flatline.
So bigz is flatlining. He has got something to say. Now, who votes? So bigz is going to flatline, and maybe we'll get his argument first before we do our vote. So it's going to come down to a vote after this. So if the majority of us decide that Lamar Jackson is part of tier 1, he's going to stay there. But bigz is going to have to convince us with this argument, because I'm pretty certain Lamar's going to stay there.
So the only thing that I have to quibble with is the fact that Lamar Jackson runs and runs and runs. He has never had fewer than 112 total attempts. That was in a shortened 2022 season when he had to leave, or he didn't play a full season due to injury. I'm looking for consistency when I'm trying to build a dynasty, and except for a couple of years of freak injuries, you have consistency from Joe Burrow. I'm putting Joe Burrow in the top 3. Lamar Jackson is not going to age well. If we're looking over the next 5 years, you keep adding 150 carries to Lamar Jackson every single year, the contact that he's taking, all that stuff, there's going to be attrition. And Joe Burrow doesn't necessarily have the same contact. He doesn't run as much as Lamar Jackson does. He picks his spots. He's not part of the run game as far as design plays are concerned. I think Joe Burrow is going to have more longevity than Lamar Jackson, and I would put Joe Burrow in tier 1.
Who's missed more games in their NFL career so far, Joe Burrow or Lamar Jackson? If we're talking about stability, longevity, consistency, I don't see an O-line there in Cincinnati that could, keep him upright for a long, period of time. He's a tall guy. His knees are banged up. We can't foresee that, based off of, their past performances, that Joe Burrow is the safer bet longevity than Lamar Jackson based off their rushing style, because Lamar is a smart runner and they design his runs to be safe.
So Lamar has missed a total of, it looks like 10, 13 games over the course of his career, and Burrow missed about the same, 6 and about 13 games. So they're pretty much on even field, even though Lamar Jackson has played more seasons. The injuries to Joe Burrow have been more freakish, and pocket passers last longer. It was talked about with Lamar Jackson, how is he going to deal with year 5, year 6, year 7? And he doesn't seem to have slowed down, except for a couple seasons where he did have some injury issues. But then Joe Burrow comes out last year, comes off of a pretty devastating injury in 2023, and only has the best fantasy season of his career so far. So as long as he's throwing to Jamar Chase, he's got T. Higgins there. That offense is completely designed around him. I'm not wavering off the total attrition over time with Burrow versus Lamar Jackson.
A question on that, bigz. Does anything change at all for you? 6-point passing touchdown to 4-point passing touchdown, Lamar, Burrow. I do see safety in Burrow in a 6-point passing touchdown format. But to me, Lamar clears just because I can still get that drug and that excitement of all that rushing upside, and just the laser throws that Lamar Jackson still has. He's a dart thrower out there too. I really love Lamar Jackson, still a tier above, but I can buy a little bit of Burrow in a 6 point. Do you have anything to where you would give a little more credence to Lamar in a 4 point passing format?
Of course. And the only reason that I'm bringing this up is because Mike only allowed 3 people in the top tier. I think Joe Burrow should be a top tier guy.
Okay.
But you know, if there's a 3A and 3B, it's Lamar and Burrow.
Okay, so here's this, because I've got my 4 through 7, and you know, I've Jalen Hurts is on that list, but you have mentioned Joe Burrow, because we're talking this is essentially tiers. And are you almost trying to flatline that Burrow, it should be a 4 in tier 1, and then maybe it should be 3 in tier 2?
Sure.
Yeah, I got 2 things. One thing, I think there's something to be said about Lamar's ability to avoid big contact. That's just like ingrained in that dude. You see it week in, week out, that like the way he sneaks out of bounds, the way he can slide and get down, like he's constantly avoiding big hits. And I think that is a big factor in how his longevity is going to progress here throughout the years. Second, bigz, you mentioned, Lamar runs. Isn't that why he had to leave that Monday night game that one time?
Yes, that's true.
That was beautiful.
All right.
He probably ate dairy ice cream.
As slim as this has gone, okay, so we're going with the 3 here. Where are we at here? Are we going to extend this tier to 4 and include Joe Burrow? No, we're going to keep it at 3, and and then let's vote on this. Who's for Lamar Jackson in this tier? We'll start with you, Chev.
Me. I Sanders.
All right. So even bigz has got Lamar in this tier, so it's unanimous. But he needed to, stake his case for Joe Burrow.
Vote for Burrow?
Okay, so who's voting for Joe Burrow in this tier?
And that's where, for me, I come in. He's tier 2, but it's a great case for Joe Burrow.
Yep.
And in that 6 point passing touchdown format, it takes a little bit off of the high rushing upside players. So I think we can at least establish firmly, we can make the case for the other players in tier 2, because bigz made a great case for Joe Burrow, rightfully so. Near 5,000 yards passing last year, 43 touchdowns, led the league in passing touchdowns. We've got the run back effect that will be in full effect. They'll be up 7, and they'll just give it right back. Joe Burrow is going to be pissed on the bench, like they had with the quarterback show, where he's on the sideline and cursing people out, frustrated. But guess what? He's going to put his helmet on and march the team back down the field. He'll have 2 touchdowns passing middle of the first quarter, and you're going to be feeling great on so many weeks. So absolutely firmly, Joe Burrow belongs here in tier 2. Who's next up for picking? Because I think we got a couple good picks left here in tier 2.
Well, I just want to go back to the Joe Burrow situation here. I think because bigz used a precious flat line, and I think that is definitely something worth noting for our viewers. As far as even though Joe Burrow didn't get into that first tier, it's worth noting that Joe Burrow has got some very big significance here. So there could be some value here in a startup here if you're leaning towards 2 guys and see Joe Burrow fading a bit, because I've seen him fade sometimes here too. So
Joe, how was your wrist? I don't know. Good enough for 4,900 yards and 43 touchdowns?
But he couldn't pick the water bottle up.
Yeah. All right, Chev. Now that Joe Burrow's on the board, do you want to go with our next guy? Who do you think needs to be in tier 2?
We're going chalk here. We're going to stay chalk. We just Jeremiah and I just finished an episode talking about these guys literally in a 1-for-1 trade with each other. So we're going to go Jalen Hurts here. I've got Jalen Hurts. So the reason that I have Jalen Hurts there is because he's got a 600-yard rushing floor. There's not very many. There's very few quarterbacks that offer that on the ground. Josh Allen rushes for double-digit touchdowns, but he only gave you 530 yards on the ground last year. Jalen Hurts has at least 630 yards in each of the last 4 seasons. And did I say Jalen Hurts or I say Joe Burrow? I feel like I said I feel like I said Joe Burrow. Anyway, Jalen Hurts has a double-digit rushing touchdown floor. 4 straight seasons of double-digit rushing touchdowns to go along with the most unstoppable play of unstoppable plays in the tush push. Then he also as well too is one of the most efficient quarterbacks from a per drop back basis. So when he does drop back to throw, he's got Devonta Smith and AJ Brown who are under long-term contracts. So I am firmly placing Jalen Hurts into tier 2. And I could argue that his floor is safer than one Joe Burrow because of the fact that Joe Burrow has 1 season averaging above 21 fantasy points per game. Jalen Hurts has not averaged less than 21 points per game in his full-time stardom in his career.
Right. Is it Schultze?
I
You
would
got anything to say about Chev's Jalen Hurts comments?
No, I mean, that's nail on the head there. I'm just trying to figure out how we picked 5 quarterbacks, and I haven't gone yet. How did we get here?
Because we got here because Joe Burrow was automatically on there because of the flat line call that bigz made, and yeah, that's where we're at. You had already put him on tier 2, so he was there.
Classic flat line. Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and pick up some Patrick Mahomes here. I know some people are a little bit down, and I am not. We have seen nothing but excellence from him, man. And even in fantasy, he had this run of 7 years as a top 8 quarterback. You look at last year, he was down to QB 11. And that was what everyone kind of called the down year for him. And I know we're probably going to miss a little bit of Rashee Rice, but I'm just not concerned here, man. Like, people talk about, oh, he's 29, whatever. But like, until he starts showing some drop off on the field, like, I'm not going to be out. And I'm looking for a big rebound here from Mahomes. I think the deep ball and the deep game is coming right back this year. Yeah, I'm pretty firmly planted on a Mahomes bounce back, and give me him in tier 2.
All right. Well, anybody got anything to say about that? Because Schulte's got a back-to-back pick, so I'm not going to get him a comment on his own player. Anybody doesn't think that Mahomes deserves to be in tier 2 amongst the top 7 quarterbacks in Dynasty right now?
Yeah.
No, I'm not gonna push back on it. I'm not gonna push back on it.
6 years of 4,000 or more passing yards, and a lot of those years being closer to 5. And he has 2 seasons with over 5,000 passing yards, and then living most years between 300 and 400 rushing yards is Patrick Mahomes. Steady, safe. He stays healthy. The only knock I'll say on him is when he runs the football. This is totally irrelevant, but I have to say it. He runs like he's got a pitcher in his hand, and he's being safe. He can't spill the pitcher of water. That's how he holds the football out. But he's been remarkably healthy, and he was QB 11 last year, so there was some dip. For fantasy, there are some arguments for some high upside players, but as far as year in, year out, back of the statistic card, it still exists there. So as much as I have been down on Patrick Mahomes or wanting to push some other players over the top of him in the present in 2025, I have to look at law of large numbers, accordion out, and see what he's consistently put together and give him some benefit of the doubt there. So there's really no argument against Patrick Mahomes being in tier 2. Definitely not tier 1. And maybe part of these guys in tier 2 you would all maybe want before Patrick Mahomes, and he finishes a tier. But by all means, you can't knock Patrick Mahomes being in tier 2.
All right, Biggs, I want to hear your call because I know we all the four of us have consensus on Mahomes being here, but you've got a couple of other guys that probably you might think might be ahead of him based off of your reaction on that. And I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I'm just looking at not necessarily what tier I think he should go in as far as, his legacy and quality of play on the field and stuff like that. But I'm looking at quarterbacks that if I'm in a startup draft, maybe I'm letting other people take Mahomes and then I'm grabbing some other guys at a better value. We have Brock Purdy to start, who finished as the quarterback right behind Patrick Mahomes, but he's 25 years old, and we know that he is one of the most efficient EPA per play, per drop back, per highest fantasy points per drop back in the league. Justin Herbert, who's ascending with some more weapons added. Then you got Bo Nix, who burst onto the scene last year as the quarterback 7 as a rookie with extensive college experience. So it's not like he's coming at it with he's a third-year guy that's just ascending. And then Jared Goff, who has consistently shown over the past 10 years that he can approach 45 to 100 to 5,000 yards every year. And again, he's a pocket quarterback. He's not going to be running out on the move, getting hurt a lot. So I might be looking at grabbing other quarterbacks instead of Patrick Mahomes, letting other people grab him at that second round, reach around, and then I'll wait in Superflex leagues and grab somebody else later that definitely has potential to outproduce Patrick Mahomes on a year-to-year basis.
A fair assessment. Based off the floor, I think the rest of us agree that Mahomes should be here. But you bring up a couple names that potentially should else be in this tier. I like where this tier is capping off because I think there's some upside picks here, and I'm interested to see what Schultz's pick is because I think there could be a flatline or two held up here to see who finally makes this tier.
Yeah, so we're into the Jimmy the Drummer second round reach around here, and I'm gonna go for this is honestly a tough choice between these two guys, but I think I'm gonna stick my neck out and put Bo Nix in.
Yeah.
You just look at what he did as a rookie, and you gotta say if that's what his rookie season looked like, there's gonna be room for growth. And especially in a Sean Payton offense, I think one of my Bo Nix was a big miss for me last year in general, and I think for a lot of people in the community. And one of the reasons for me was I downplayed Sean Payton, and that's on me. The dude is a wizard, and he's a hell of a coach, and he knows how to get the best out of his quarterbacks, draw up an offense to make his quarterbacks successful, play to their strengths. Bo Nix brings you some of that rushing stuff we love. Threw 29 touchdowns as a rookie. I think we're gonna have Marvin Mims, elevating here. They brought in Evan Ingram, who's kind of a gadget dude, and I just think we're gonna definitely see improvement coming out of year one. And to see what he put on as a rookie specifically, gives me promise into this growth, and I think that is what plants him in tier 2.
I love this call. Anybody else? Anybody got something to say to that? I think Chev, you're on the mic here, buddy.
Well. I thought that I would make it through this episode without vehemently disagreeing with someone, but here we are. I can't put him above Caleb Williams. I won't put him above Caleb Williams. I shan't put him above Caleb Williams. Why I'm not using my flat line, I would like it noted in the minutes, Mr. Grindberg, sir, that I do not agree with this decision to put Bo Nix in ahead of Caleb Williams at this current moment right now today in the year of 2025 before aftershave.
Noted. We're noting this. And
I'm on the clock, so I'm going to take Caleb Williams
in tier 3.
In tier 3. So we're talking about a guy who was put into an impossible, to quote the great scholar Confucius, he was put in an impossible situation, guys, and he made chicken salad out of chicken crap. So now we get him with the most hot to trot play caller of the last 3 to 4 seasons, and we get him with several top 10 weapons, or excuse me, 2 top 10 draft capital weapons, $100 million receiver, a $50 million tight end, a second contract running back, and an offensive line that has each one of the offensive linemen is within the top 25 at the position at each spot. So we've got we got everything that we want to give Caleb a chance to succeed. And if we're grading him as a failure because of his advanced metrics or his inability to hit the deep ball, I would think that a guy that is one of the most prolific passers in USC or in college football, I think he would figure out a way to get the ball to the weapons that he has in an efficient manner, if just given the tools to succeed like he wasn't. And even with all that being said, he came within 297 yards of breaking the Bears franchise record for a single season in passing yards. And he still had a 3-to-1 touchdown interception ratio. So if we're grading him as a failure, I don't really know what success looks like, in addition to him adding nearly 500 yards on the ground. So yes, Caleb Williams is firmly in this tier for me. I think he could be a tier 1 guy based on the draft capital and the expectations placed on him with Ben Johnson going into 2026.
Yeah, there's some concerns for me with him being in tier 2. So I think he places exactly where he needs to be at this stage based off his rushing upside. I think Bo Nix offers a little bit more. And just the basic, like you mentioned, in his rookie season, he was the most prolific passer in Bears, history, essentially, as far as passing yards goes in the Windy City, where, things don't necessarily go well for quarterbacks in the later stages of the season, in your fantasy playoffs, where things come to matter. And I'm just based off of those reasons and the, some of the situation in Chicago, I love the optimism about the offense and everything like that. Ben Johnson coming in, Luther Burden, Colson Lovin, all these additions are great. I just think that you can't change Chicago playing outside. And for a quarterback, you need to have that rushing upside, or you got to be a great pocket passer. And Caleb Williams could have that upside, but I just don't think he rushes enough in Chicago with the weather to get him ahead of Bo Nix.
Mike, him and Bo Nix rushed for the exact same amount of yards, within 3 yards of each other last year.
That's not
that was with far less attempts. Bo Nix had, I believe, 92 rushes for about 430 yards. So actually, Caleb Williams had 59 more yards rushing than Bo Nix last year. So just do with that information what you will.
With what I will. Okay, fair. Okay, well, I will do with that information what I will. I think, this is where I'm thinking about that line between those two guys. I think the weather increment as well has something to do with it as far as passing goes, some design stuff. So I'm gonna stick with my Bo Nix call where I think he is, but you've definitely made them a little bit closer as far as that goes.
I'm going to throw this out there real quick because on this show, I have likened Bo Nix to Derek Carr if he had rushing upside. And I'm going to throw out another one. Caleb Williams, if you look at his rookie season versus Jared Goff's second year, Caleb Williams is Jared Goff with rushing upside.
Like that a lot.
We like that a lot, a whole lot.
There it is. All right. No qualms here on the Caleb Williams here.
Also, his name starts with Cal. Shout out, go Golden Bears.
Ew, gross. Oh, sorry. Did I say that?
ACC champions 2025. Let's go.
Did I say that?
Oh man,
you got a dynasty. You started a dynasty with them. That's how they won the ACC. College football 26.
All right. Let me get
Jared Sugg.
let's power through some of these picks here and get some controversy happening here. I'm gonna get some Drake May up in tier 3. Maybe before a Justin Herbert or a CJ Stroud.
Go.
I have
But
been waiting to use my flat line.
Yo,
And
yo.
I'm very upset because nobody's given me the opportunity to just provide the most disrespect. So I'm still not going to use it right here because I love this. I almost went Drake May myself because he has a higher rushing upside than either Caleb
all of
Williams
them.
Oh, can I
Bo Nix.
flatline you? Can I flatline you to jump?
I want to talk about Drake May and his, rushing upside that we talk about. He had a rough rookie season here, but some historical stats here when we talk about Drake May. He had a great rookie season as far as his rushing goes. He had over 400 rushing yards. He only played 13 games, so if we at the end of the season can get him upwards of 700 mark, that is huge upside for a quarterback that has a huge upgrade, in my opinion, in his wide receiver room, in his running back room. Travion Henderson is going to get a ton of dump offs. We know what McDaniels does to his running backs. He overloads them with dump offs in space, and I see this being a huge situation for Travion Henderson to excel in this situation, and his dynamic explosiveness, his pass protection is only going to improve. And Stephon Diggs, coming off that injury, I know people are down on him, but when we look at what he did in Houston to start the year last year, there is some optimism here. He's got a reliable weapon in Hunter Henry and some up and coming wide receivers that we still don't know the book on. And I just think that Drake May, with that rushing upside, a better team around him, he is poised to really turn some heads and really be a value, especially in redraft right now, because he's going around the same situation as Bo Nix, and he's probably going to finish ahead, if not in this tier. So at this stage next year, I could see Drake May easily being in tier 2.
Yes, and it's crazy because it's nuts. I think Chev is excited. I'm excited, man, because it wasn't my turn during tier 2, but I'm not going to flatline. But I actually think that Drake May could have filled out the tier 2, because when we describe tier 2, strong, secure starters, next 3 to 6 year window. And then for tier 3, which he's in, that you have him in here, Drake May now, Mike, high upside but risky. I don't see a risk. He's young. That's not a problem at all. Inconsistency, I've seen no inconsistency, just for the fact that it's a limited sample size. We liken Drake May and Caleb Williams on the screen. They were 1-2 flip-flopping. Bo Nix just happened to have the better situation. No knock on Bo Nix. Bo Nix has a great future. But Drake May, this time next year, will be in the same spot that Joe Burrow is. So I've got Drake May. If I can challenge and flatline you, Mike, in agreement more, if I could triple stamp a double stamp, because I think Chev is excited too. So if I gave a Chev stamp, a me stamp on your stamp, Grindberg, for Drake May, I would just like to retroactively push him up to tier 2.
Oh, is this a flat line to tier 2, folks? Who else is interested in pushing Drake May up to tier 2?
Chev, are you in?
No.
Oh man, I thought I had you, man.
I was just excited to say that Drake May is Daniel Jones with passing upside.
Oh, that hurts.
That's funny.
Why? Daniel Jones has amazing rushing upside. He can't throw the ball. Imagine if Daniel Jones could throw the ball. What would he be? Drake May.
Like Justin Timberlake and Andy Samberg were mother lovers. I'm the biggest Drake May lover out there, and I'm not putting him in tier 2.
Yes, you are. Yeah. All right, bigz. Without further ado,
McCarthy.
Let's get JJ McCarthy in tier 3. Flatline right away. Let's hear it. He is good stuff. Okay, so bigz, let's hear your case for JJ, and then we'll hear Chev's case for JJ McCarthy. Let's go.
So there are a couple things that stand out that I've talked about on the show before, albeit it was a year ago before JJ McCarthy was hurt. And that would be, number one, Brett Coleman, observing him at the NFL Combine, and the fact that when they were throwing the wide receiver drills, every time a coach said, JJ, do this, he did it. There were a bunch of drops, and that got presented in the media as if JJ McCarthy wasn't being as accurate as he could have. But according to Brett Coleman, JJ McCarthy was putting the ball exactly where it needed to be. It was the lack of cohesion with the receivers and the lack of the receivers being in the right place. JJ McCarthy was as accurate as anybody. The other piece of the combine was JJ McCarthy came in second in the velocity. So he has a huge arm. And the fact that he's in Minnesota, he's going to be throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson and Jordan Addison probably for almost a whole season. Ty Felton, he's got Aaron Jones back there. They brought in Jordan Mason. And we know that the Minnesota Vikings are going to compete. They gave the Detroit Lions everything they could handle last year. That coaching staff knows what they have in JJ McCarthy. They had a huge bounce back, a comeback player of the year-esque year from Sam Darnold, and still decided that JJ McCarthy was the guy. If he hadn't gotten hurt, he would have come in at some point last year and taken over for Sam Darnold. He just unfortunately suffered an injury. Now he's got a year with the playbook. He's got a year learning that system, and a big arm. He's mobile. He started off his career at Michigan, almost running more attempts than he was throwing, and he's young. He was a rising junior when he was drafted. That speaks significantly to fantasy production in the NFL later on. JJ McCarthy, I'm smashing in tier 3.
Chev, you go first. You laid the flat line.
Yeah, so I have a hard time putting JJ McCarthy in tier 3 because of the fact that we've never seen him play American tackle football as a professional. Beyond that, we're pretending to rushing upside when he never rushed for more than 300 yards in college. And although Sam Darnold had a wonderful swan song career breakout, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield Renaissance year, I think that we could be getting out over our skis as a community immediately accepting JJ McCarthy as a fantasy mainstay, which is where he is. I mean, him being in this same company, and we've seen the other two guys give us things that we could be hopeful for, and we can't lean on anything other than the fact that they didn't want to pay Sam Darnold $50 million, or, we really believe in the play caller because he propped up Nick Mullins for 4 games and Josh Dobbs for a couple games. So I couldn't be further out on JJ McCarthy as a tier 3 guy.
I rebut?
You can do whatever you want. I'm explaining my flat line.
Allow me to retort. What did Kevin O'Connell do with Sam Darnold, who had previously been garbage? Now, that's number one. And number two, it's a query to you, Chev. Are you placing Cam Ward higher than JJ McCarthy?
Yes.
But he's not played a down professionally that we've been able to witness.
I have Cam Ward ahead of JJ McCarthy personally. I can elaborate on those reasons. We've got 1,400 collegiate attempts for Cam Ward as opposed to 700 for JJ McCarthy. We've got the number one overall. What'd you say?
I said that's twice as many.
That's a lot. Yeah. And it goes back to my point about the number of starts, the number of appearances, the number of at bats. I feel like that makes a difference in being able to, even though JJ McCarthy's had the year, like you've still got to acclimate to, how, the rigors of the NFL. Could you get off to a fast start? Maybe, because we don't really have film on you. But what's more likely with their defense? And even though they have these weapons, them kind of putting him under training wheels and just doing enough and managing the game, a la Brock Purdy's first few starts, or him getting off to, I don't know, maybe the literal best start ever, like Patrick Mahomes. I personally think it might be a little bit more conservative than that. So I find myself out on JJ McCarthy at this price point.
Yeah, I think, and I don't think Chev. I don't think you're trying to put Cam Ward in tier 3 either.
No.
Right. So yeah, I'm with you that we've never seen anything out of McCarthy, and I think honestly, my little issue with this whole tier in general right now is it's totally based on projection here, and big steps we're expecting to take for guys who haven't been in this tier yet.
Well, to
when we've
that
got
end,
dudes,
to that end,
go ahead.
The show sheet says Dynasty Heartbeats high upside but risky, whether due to youth, inconsistency, or team context.
That's fair.
I mean, can't argue with that. But when I look at some of these dudes who are still on the board who have been in this spot for multiple seasons now, like, been in this QB 8 to 12 range, and we haven't picked any of them yet, that's where I'm a little off board.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am. I'm hoping that we get back to I get to pick again so I can pick my guy. Hopefully he makes it back to me. I don't think he will, but maybe.
All right, so we did. Okay, so let's talk about tier 3. We've got 5 quarterbacks to get in here. So do we think JJ McCarthy belongs in here? Flatline boys. Schultze, does JJ McCarthy belong in tier 3?
No.
Coach.
Oh, I can sell it. I can absolutely sell it. And we're going off of exactly the description that bigz said. So I would allow JJ McCarthy in here, understanding that this could be fungible between tier 3 and tier 4. Maybe the late tier 3 to early tier 4, you could delineate. So if we wanted to pew or shoo away JJ McCarthy a little bit, create a little bit of a gap where we're acknowledging that McCarthy might be in tier 3, but he's in the 4th deck versus Caleb and Drake May. They're in that 1st deck of the tier.
The crazy thing is like I kind of want him in this tier, but maybe near the end I don't want him in this tier yet. So it's almost like I'm ready to veto him and then potentially take him in the next round. If that makes any sense,
Well, should I
arbitrage we have here, fellas?
Should I draw my next 2 and then see if we want to
continue to have Jay? Let's do that.
I just want to throw out a little thing. Last year, JJ McCarthy doesn't get hurt. He and Drake May both start mid-season. How much difference is there?
I think JJ McCarthy is probably ahead because
I can see that
because of the offense around him.
But of course, the environment's so much better for JJ McCarthy.
There's also a world where JJ McCarthy is not good. Like there is a scenario that plays out possibility where we trot JJ McCarthy out and he stinks. And we're pretty confident in saying that Drake May doesn't stink.
We all thought that Nick Mullins stunk and Kirk Cousins stunk, but look what they did under Kevin O'Connell and their offense. So
I don't think that if we get off to the start with the Vikings got off to last year, that they switch quarterbacks at any point.
No,
if they went 14-3, man. Like they got rolling pretty quickly. They were 5-0. So at what point, and Sam Darnold was rolling. So
they're confident that they could do whatever they were doing and be a contender with the rookie, potentially a guy under that's a year of him percolating in an offense. Compare him to like a Jordan Love who sat for 2 years. This is like similar to that, sitting behind the scenes, getting to see that and all this stuff could be him coming out of camp, being, what they thought they drafted.
I mean, there's no reason for them to believe that that's not what happens. What I'm saying is that for fantasy, it might not. We're putting him in a place where you can select proven assets that are still really young, and if he gets off to more of a training wheel start as opposed to gangbusters, you're going to regret having paid the price point that he's at right now.
And we're looking at this tier, and we have Caleb Williams, Drake May, JJ McCarthy. All three of them were 2024 top 10 draft picks. Are we quibbling that JJ McCarthy just had an injury and didn't get time on the field? Or are we saying this was part of the top 10 and you can throw somebody else in there, but no table talk? And that's your standard tier 3. All these guys that came out in 2024, Bo Nix being the most productive of them, and then the next 4 in the tier 3, that all fits age-wise, timeline-wise to me.
Mm-hmm.
Chev, do you have something to say about it?
Well, first of all right, I've been gathering my thoughts in my own personal quantum of solace here.
You use your left hand or your right hand for that?
I use no hands. I'm the handless clapper. Respect me. So I think with JJ McCarthy, I guess my biggest issue is that I got to watch the other two play, and I don't think that I wasn't ever of the belief that as a collegian, he was a special talent at the quarterback position. So while the ceiling is the roof with JJ McCarthy in that offense with the weapons, I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with him being in this tier currently.
And that's a fair assessment. All right, Coach. Well, let's round off this tier and see if JJ does decide to be in here still. I think you make a lot of valid points there. He's unproven. He's a rookie, like essentially a rookie. So there's a lot of unproven stuff there. Coach, what do you got?
I'm going to go with somebody I got the double tap here. I'm going to go with somebody who is a steady hand, who you could tier down from the tier one. Well, not tier 1. It would take a lot. But tier 2 for sure, you could tier down into some Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is just a steady hand in fantasy football. He has 5 seasons, all 5 seasons, he's been quarterback 15 or better. And 3 of those have been top 12 seasons for fantasy points per game. In 2021, his second season, QB2 overall in fantasy points per game. We had the misnomer last year of Greg Roman offense. There's going to just be way too much running, that surely there'll be no way that Justin Herbert could thrive in 2024. That could not have been further from the truth. We're expecting in 2025 maybe some more rushing from Justin Herbert in a Greg Roman offense. 9th in passing yards last year, 4th in air yards, 6th in pressure throws, 7th in deep ball attempts for Justin Herbert. He really has continued to put up steady numbers, and his talent around him continues to improve. And just at age 27, it's funny, he's still very young, and I will take the safety and soundness of somebody like Justin Herbert here, where he could actually vault up and have a much better season than people are anticipating, because you've got Lab McConkey who can build, and we know bigz loves Lab McConkey. Great call there from last year. You got Trey Harris, who just signed, and I believe he's going to be what we wanted Mike Williams to be. Great value in Trey Harris. And then you have Omarion Hampton. Whatever's happening with Najee is not part of the long-term effect. I really love what they're doing. Aronde Gadsden. There's a lot of good things happening, and it's very subtle. And people aren't fully out like they were last year on Justin Herbert. They've learned their lesson. But I don't think people are fully in as much as they should be on Justin Herbert. And for my other double tap, I'm going to go with somebody who has even more upside, just for the fact that he's got that Konami goodness, but he burned us last year. But again, 27 years of age. He's only 6 months older than Justin Herbert. I'm talking about Kyler Murray. You've got points per game finishes of 11, 3, 4, 7, 12. Year in, year out, he's getting you anywhere from 18 to 24 fantasy points per game. Kyler Murray, he burned people last year because he didn't quite hit. He was QB 10 overall. We just didn't see that top 6, top 5 overall upside. So for a guy who can vault up and post numbers with any of these tiers on a given season, on a fantasy points per game basis, I'm going to roll with the upside on Kyler Murray. A little bit more stability than, say, somebody like Justin Fields, who I think will serve in another episode for the utility that Justin Fields has. But Kyler Murray has a little more safety and soundness for his contract, and he's got a little bit more of that franchise establishment. But it's funny, in ways you got volatile upside in a good way for Kyler Murray. You have safe upside here in Justin Herbert. So I feel very confident finishing out this tier with Herbert and Murray.
I would maybe put Brock Purdy in this tier over Kyler, just based off of their age, 2 years younger. Brock Purdy in a very dynamic offense that he doesn't have to do a whole lot to be, manageable. What's up there, Coach?
So would that push out JJ McCarthy for Purdy? Or
no, I'm probably higher on JJ than I am for Kyler, just based off of just what I've seen from him. Yes, he's going to be great, but he's on the downslope, in my opinion, of his career. I don't see him clicking with Marvin Harrison Jr. I love the connection with Trey McBride, but I think that was based off necessity, not based off of what they really want to do. Kyler is just a smaller quarterback. He has a problem seeing downfield, in my opinion, over his O-line, that he can't get the ball downfield on accurate throws. So I'm going to play out there. Yeah, he's got that rushing upside, but do you really want to rely on that long term? Whereas a guy like Purdy, he can have these dump passes. Shanahan, he's known for creating offense around his quarterback without much emphasis on the quarterback. He's touted for being that guy to be able to turn a no-namer into somebody, right? Like, he wanted to do with Sam Darnold if Purdy wasn't going to work, just to put that feather in his cap. He's that kind of guy, and I just think that Purdy is the manager that can be there, the stability is there, and the age. So that's why I would put Purdy there and over Kyler, and still keep McCarthy if it was between those guys. If anything, I'd maybe put Stroud in there over McCarthy if I was gonna shuffle that, just based off of longevity in a dynasty. When we're looking at these guys, you mentioned that earlier when bigz mentioned that against my Lamar Jackson take about a guy like Joe Burrow being able to have that longevity, where these guys like a Stroud or a guy that I mentioned earlier there, Herbert as well. Like these guys are going to have that longevity. So I just like these guys over a scrambling guy on the age pinnacle who hasn't really shown much and potentially has other alternative motives when you look at his history of being a gamer or whatnot, and not totally emphasis on the football. So give me these other options over him.
I would put Purdy over McCarthy for me in this tier.
Yeah, that's where I was. That's what I was alluding to.
Okay,
I'm fine with Kyler being here. If I would take Brock Purdy over both right now.
Same. But the Kyler one, I'm on board. Like when Coach first said it, I kind of was like, oh well. But then you know what? No, it's when he's played 14 or more games, he's been a top 10 guy. So like you can't argue with that. And he's going to go out there and rush for 400 or 500 yards easily, and we know that.
Yeah, it just kind of sucks because it's not as good as you ever want it to be.
Yeah. Right.
I'd sooner take Justin Fields at that, at his price point for similar, like way more upside as far as top, fantasy quarterback goes. But you know what I mean? And they could have very similar trajectories as far as how their careers will play out over the next couple of years, as far as, playing for a spot.
Well, Kyler's got the contract.
Yeah.
Kyler has the contract, and we've seen Kyler finish as the QB3 before. So if he goes, if he runs more, which he said he's going to run more, I can see it. He was basically QB9. I think he was QB12 in points per game last year, and we were disgusted with that. But, he has 22 points per game upside, in my opinion.
He's going to have to run the ball if he wants to get it to Marvin Harrison Jr. He's going to have to run up the field ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr. and then pitch it back in like a hook and ladder type.
Do a lateral stuff. All right. Okay. So let's kind of do a consensus vote here, because there's some skeptical, situations here is about Kyler, JJ, and Purdy, right? That's kind of the three that need to be in here. So 2 out of those 3. Who thinks that Kyler and Purdy should be there and JJ should be excluded?
Well, if you're going to lump my vote, I'll go against JJ, but I don't necessarily think. But yeah, I'll just be biased towards my pick. Thanks.
Okay, so
I'm totally fine with Kyler Murray being in the top 12. Even when he's trash, he's still QB 10.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do that. Let's maybe put JJ McCarthy in tier 4.
No, I didn't agree to that.
Well, it's now set because
it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's been the tribe has spoken, and that's how it looks like our top 12 that's anyway.
Pretty good pun you just did there.
You guys do what you do. I'll just kick your butts in 2029.
There it I love it. This is great, guys. This was an awesome show. We got top 12, 3 tiers. Couldn't get it through them all, but we maybe revisit these guys, but got some good context here for our viewership. And let's get that board off. Let's get our faces back up here, and let's get bigz talking about what we do so awesome here on the Dynasty Pulse.
Hey, whoa, look how big we are. We are embiggened. Thank you, everybody, for, following along, watching or listening, what have you. Make sure that you go check us out on fantasysportsadvice.com. There's a great merch store. Even on YouTube, there's a bunch of merch that's down below that you can go ahead and cop. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that call to action stuff that, you really don't care about because you're probably subscribed anyway, but like the video, get into the comments, tell us where we're at, give us your top 12. What tiers do you have people in? We want to hear it. We want to be able to quibble with you like we quibble with ourselves. And other than that, we hope you win.
We hope you win, folks. Okay, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week.